This review for Sisu is spoiler free. Now, ever since I saw the first trailer for Sisu, I was very excited. Because when I was a child, I was babysat by a Finnish lady, so I like to imagine that I have a little Sisu in me as well. And to this day, some of the people I care the most about are Finnish. So my expectations for this movie were very high going in. Sisu is hard to translate into English, but just imagine it as the grit, determination, inner strength, and the spirit to never give up of the Finnish people. And after seeing the movie, yeah, it's a pretty appropriate title. Like I said, my expectations were high, and they were mostly met. Although the movie wasn't perfect, and I do feel like some things were cut to make the movie more fast-paced, or maybe it was a budgetary thing. I do feel some scenes kind of end abruptly and move on a little too fast. But other than that, the movie is pretty great. It's directed by Jalmari Helander, who I had never heard of. But when I looked him up, he does have a couple of other movies that look pretty unhinged as well. One of them starring Samuel L. Jackson. And another one about finding the actual remains of Santa Claus. Definitely gonna seek those out because they sound very interesting. And they also star Jorma Tamila, who is the main character of Sisu. And he is great. All the actors are really good. They all have these very interesting, hard faces. The movie is pretty simple. It's about a Finnish prospector at the end of World War II who finds a bunch of gold, and some Nazis want to take it away from him. Very, very straightforward. Honestly, it reminds me of a combination of Mad Max, Rambo, and spaghetti westerns with some 70s exploitation elements thrown in. Set in Lapland, so it's really beautiful, and they actually filmed it in Lapland. Really enjoyed the cinematography, but what stands out here is the bloody, gory action, which is pretty good for the most part, with some kills and ways to escape that I've really never seen in a movie before. So I did enjoy that, and the gore effects are very realistic. There's a few CGI shots that are a little cheap looking, but it's not enough to be very distracting really. There are some women in the movie who are great, but I do wish their characters were fleshed out a little bit more. The bad guys were really good. Some of the grimiest, most vile Nazis I've seen in a movie, you really hate them. So of course, the violence is fun. This is a violent movie. I would call it an exploitation movie. So if that sounds fun for you, check it out. Some parts do border on the absurd. This isn't a 100% realistic movie. This is a movie about a legendary figure. To rate it from 1 to 10, I would rate it an 8. Just because I like the idea about it, that they made a movie about Sisu. But I think most moviegoers would probably rate this between a 6 and a 7, because there are some absurd elements in it. There's not much story, and if you don't like spaghetti western style, or Mad Max style, or exploitation movies, this might not be your cup of tea, but I like all those things. So for me, it's an 8 out of 10.